Hi, everyone. This is Eliza Berry, Marketing Director at Richie May & Co. Thank you, of course, to everyone for coming out today. If your 2021 has started anything off like ours, then I know you're all really busy. So we're going to get straight to the good stuff in this webinar today. So presenting, each of the presenters will introduce themselves more in depth as we get to them. So before we get started, just some housekeeping things. If you have questions, go ahead and ask those in the questions panel or the chat. I will answer them if I can. Otherwise, I will pose them. I'll speak up and pose them during the presentation or at the end if we have time for questions. We're recording this webinar today, so if you have to drop off for any reason, or if you want to check out the webinar again later, we'll be sending everyone the video recording as well as the slide decks in the next couple of days. So look out for that in your email, and feel free to pass it along and share it with anyone that you think might benefit from that at your organization. There will also be a short survey that comes to your email after the webinar, just 3 yes or no questions, nice and simple. So we really appreciate it if you would follow up with that. And we will also be providing the contact information for the speakers, both inside that slide deck and sent out to your emails as well. So if you think of any questions after today, feel free to reach out to Nathan or Seth, whose contact information will be included there. So to kick off our presentation today, we have Nathan Lee. He's our partner in charge of our advisory services and technology services, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about today.
Great, thanks Eliza, and hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to be with you all virtually. I wish we could see each other, and I know we have a lot of folks here on the call that I've had the pleasure and benefit of working with and getting to know over the years. So it's great to be with you virtually, at least today. So thank you all for taking time out of your day to be with us. We're excited to have this opportunity to visit with you about something that we really feel strongly about here at the firm, and that we believe has the opportunity to have a tremendous impact on our clients in the coming years. And so we're excited to talk to you a little bit about that here today and share with you some of that vision and why we felt like it was important for Richie May to be involved in this with our clients, and how we've gone about it, and introduce you to the Zarrall team, who is the group that we're partnering with to bring these services and bring these solutions to our clients. So we're excited to have this opportunity to get today. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. I am the partner in charge of the advisory practice here at Richie May. I've been here for many years. I know many of you, I think, that are on the call today. We've had some interaction in one form or another over the years. I've been obviously very heavily involved in the mortgage industry for many years, and so it's good to be with you. I'll have Seth just make a couple comments, introduce himself, and then we'll kick it over to a couple of the individuals from Zarrall that are joining us on the call today. We'll go first, Dan Sussman, and then Peter Sandler. So Seth.
Sure, thanks Nathan. And as he said, we're definitely excited and about this new product that we have. We are thankful that you're taking the time. It's just an exciting time for us here at Richie May, and we're looking forward to showing you what our partnership with Zarrall looks like.
Dan.
Good afternoon, good morning. This is Dan Sussman, and I am very pleased to be on the line with you guys today. I am out here in Southern California. I am a 30-plus year veteran of the mortgage industry, and I have the unique opportunity to see the world through both a technology lens, an operational and sales lens, and I share some of the same sensitivities and concerns that you have and what keeps you up at night. And so I think the presentation today will touch on some really key things that you guys are thinking about strategically, especially going forward after this tremendous 2020 production year.
Hi everybody, I'm Peter Sandler. I lead pre-sales for Zarrall, speaking to you from Pennsylvania today. I have approaching my first decade of experience with sales, marketing, and technology, and I've been focusing the past few years with automation in the mortgage space, which is now opening up to some serious innovation and some exciting explosion of technology that we're really looking forward to sharing a sliver of some of the possibilities of what automation can bring to the industry. So looking forward to speaking with you all.
Thanks, Peter. Very well said. I think we're at the precipice here, or in the early stages of a tremendous digital transformation and technology transformation that's going to take place in the mortgage industry. And so if you'll click to that next slide, Peter, to just summarize the agenda for today. We'll talk just really briefly about the tech landscape currently in the mortgage industry, and then talk a little bit about what intelligent automation is, why it's important. We won't dwell on those slides for very long because I think it's well understood within the industry that the value that intelligent automation has, the value that it will bring to organizations over the next several years and into the future. So we won't spend a lot of time there. And then we want to introduce the partnership here with Zarrall and talk about why we are partnering together and why we feel that partnership brings a very strong set of collective skills, background, and experience in this area. And then we're going to do a couple demos for you. There are obviously a lot of use cases within the mortgage industry for automation, but we want to provide demos of a couple of those use cases that we have automated for others, and just to give you a glimpse into the possibilities here and what can be done with automation. So with that, I'll turn a couple minutes here over to Seth to talk about the current landscape from a technology standpoint.
Sure, thanks, Nathan. As you guys know, sometimes the mortgage industry tends to lag behind some of the other financial services industries out there. What you'll see is some fintechs coming in, and they always think that they can disrupt everything and make everything better. There doesn't seem to be that Goldilocks moment for mortgage companies where it's just right to implement, rip and replace everything, just put in exact new technology for everything at once. You guys are either too busy or volume's not enough. Which is why we think we've brought a great solution to you guys, because it could be implemented a little bit at a time, but we'll talk about that more as we go further through the presentation. The other thing that's going on right now is you see these large mortgage companies going public or planning to go public. And what that means is they're going to be flushed with cash, and they plan to spend probably a good amount of it on improving their technology and increasing their competitive advantage. The other thing going on right now is there are companies out there that really have these solutions, but they're spot solutions. They can handle income calculation, they could read tax returns, they might be a point of sale, but they're not these holistic end-to-end solutions that we have available to you guys. So with that said, I will pass it along to the folks at Zarrall.
Yeah, I was just gonna add one comment there, Seth. As a partner here at the firm and somebody that's been at the firm for a long time and has worked with and known many of you over the years, we feel a tremendous responsibility, and we always have as a firm, to make sure that we are doing things to add value to our clients, that we're finding, we're identifying, and bringing to them things that can make a significant difference in their business. And we feel like this area is one of those that maybe has the potential of creating the most value and having the most significant impact on our clients, maybe of just about anything that we've seen over the years. And so we feel a tremendous responsibility to be involved in this effort because it squarely goes to the opportunity to get more efficient, to reduce costs, become more profitable. And so we feel like that's our responsibility and obligation that we have at the firm that we take very seriously. And I know many of you have placed a great deal of trust in us over the years, and we don't take that for granted. And so we view this as a tremendous opportunity to bring some really impactful solutions to our clients. So Dan.
Thank you, Nathan. So on this slide, why is intelligent automation important? What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually flip-flop, and I'm going to start with the bottom bullet, improve staff productivity. So, why is it important? Because costs continue to go up and productivity continues to be strained, especially with the volume levels that we've all experienced. So really, automation is designed to improve staff productivity and really to liberate your folks from doing really menial work or repetitive tasks or manual work, a lot of data entry, a lot of stare and compare. So really, all of our focus is on reducing that manual data entry, repetitive tasks, and time spent doing things either repetitively or, basically you got 3 people doing the same thing as the loan moves through the manufacturing process. One of the areas that we focus on with respect to intelligent automation is really data and documents. So our ability to source data and documents from a number of different locations, whether they be internal or external, is really kind of the cornerstone to what we do. That's the first step. Being able to extract relevant data from all types of documents, whether they're PDFs or JPEGs or GIFs, or HTML type data from your third-party service providers. We're able to recognize, categorize, and even index those source documents and data. We're also able to perform very complex analysis, and including guideline adherence, and we can execute complex rules, calculations, et cetera, and it's all dynamic to either transaction type or loan program type, investor type. So again, our goal is to reduce a lot of the manual data entry that's being done throughout the manufacturing and post-close process. Next slide. So I'm going to turn it back over to Nathan and Seth to talk about RM Automate.
Yeah, so we'll do this briefly so that we can have plenty of time to get into the demos and have time for some Q&A at the end. But as I've mentioned here a couple times already, we felt very strongly about the opportunity here for our clients, and so we've put together a partnership with Zarrall that we feel brings a tremendous amount of combined expertise within financial services and within the mortgage industry, and in particular, in this case, within the area of intelligent automation, leveraging all of the technologies associated and related to intelligent automation, including OCR to do image and document scanning, AI, ML, real deep learning, embedded data warehouse. And so we feel like this is a solution that brings a holistic end-to-end platform that allows companies to build and develop and layer automation on as they go in a true white box fashion. So rather than going and getting a series of spot solutions, and you see more and more of these popping up all the time that will solve a spot need in one area here or there, rather than going out and buying a bunch of those that are more black box type solutions that companies don't have as much control over. We felt that it was important to give companies the ability to have a white box, an open white box platform that allows them to build holistically end to end and not have to string together or integrate a series of spot solutions because they can end up being spot solution to death. And they just you constantly have to be out there figuring out what new solutions are coming to market to solve what needs. And this gives companies a lot more control over their destiny and a lot more control over what gets built and maintaining and managing it. And it just gives tremendous capabilities, and it's supported by a team of real strong professionals, data scientists and developers at Zarrall. And so we felt that those things were really important. And as we looked at who to partner with on this, the other thing that became really important to us was a company that had a real track record. It wasn't a pop-up fly-by-night entity, but Zarrall has been around, and Dan will share some of this background with you. He's been around for 16 years and has served financial services companies internationally, lenders, banks, specialty finance companies, fintech entities, and so they have deep background successfully implementing, and I think that's important to note, successfully implementing intelligent automation across large organizations internationally, and now within the mortgage industry over the last few years. So we're excited about the partnership. I think I skipped ahead here a little bit to that next slide, Peter. And so we're excited about the partnership with Zarrall, and they bring tremendous expertise and capabilities here in this intelligent automation area. So we're excited to work with them on this. So we'll have Dan share a little bit more background on Zarrall for the benefit here of those on the phone.
Thanks, Nathan.
And I think just to add real quick, Nathan, just to add one more thing, the solutions we've developed integrate with your systems. We know your LOS systems, we know your accounting software, your POS, all of those things that go into making your operation run smoothly. We know how to connect to them and can make things work without disrupting your operations.
Good point, Seth. Thanks. And again, Nathan, on behalf of everybody here at Zarrall, we're very, very pleased to be partnering with you and very excited about the solutions that we bring to the mortgage industry. Like I said, I've been banging around the industry for 30 plus years, and with all the technologies that's out there, it's really, really interesting to see some of the solutions that are available from Zarrall that basically have never been seen before because of Zarrall's global experience and depth and knowledge. So next slide, please, Peter. So, Zarrall operates one of the largest artificial intelligence research labs in the world. And as Nathan started to allude to, we focus on intelligent digital transformation and automation. We have developed a very proprietary hyper automation platform, which is world-class, and you'll see in just a moment by some of our logos that it really offers a very functional, modular end-to-end automation platform for mortgage banking and financial services. Zarrall was founded in 2004. We have offices in New York, London, Berlin, and of course, remote locations throughout the United States. The company has invested over 350 man years of research and development, and continually to honing and updating our technologies. We've implemented over 90 successful automation digital transformation projects around the world, and I'll show you some of our logos here in just a second. Again, end-to-end lending platforms, rules engines, a lot of different technical modalities. So have a lot of deep expertise in financial services, fintech, and specifically lending. Next slide, please. So here's just a brief sampling of our global client base and the logos, and you'll see some recognizable names. And one I just want to call out really quickly, just to give you a little bit of size and scope. So on the second line, far left, is a company called Arvado Bertelsmann. So this is a lending platform that Zarrall powers, so decisioning rules, data extraction, et cetera, et cetera. And Arvado's primary client is a little company called Amazon. And so the Zarrall platform powers this lending and decisioning platform to the tune of about 3,000 to 5,000 transactions per minute. So from a scalability perspective, Zarrall has the depth and experience. From a security and just professionalism and a system that works day in and day out to support a company like Amazon, Zarrall's experience and reputation really speaks for itself. So again, if anybody has questions on the logos and what we've done specifically for each of these companies, feel free to include that in your questions to the host. Next slide, please. So we're going to jump into demos here in just a few seconds, and I just want to set that up. So we've got a couple of use cases, and as you know, the mortgage industry has lots of opportunity to automate and to start really driving down costs. And those costs are across the board. They're not just labor costs, but there's a cost of errors, there's a cost of just efficiencies, keeping disparate systems in sync, et cetera, et cetera. So we're very sensitive to how we can use automation to drive down those expenses. So our first demo, we're going to show you some back office automation that we've developed and we're currently implementing for a number of different clients. And we call this our purchase advice and warehouse line automation suite. And while Peter's bringing that up, I'm just going to say that we know that those of you that are focused on secondary and capital markets, selling loans on a daily basis and reconciling with your warehouse lines and investors, we know this is a very manual process, it's very tedious, and it's got to be done right. So what we've developed is a solution where we robotically and automatically go in and we log into each and every one of your investors. And we basically pull down those PDFs using robotic process automation. We do data extraction, and then we parse that data. After it's been normalized, we parse that data back into any number of different applications like the LOS or your accounting system, et cetera. So Peter, let's pull up purchase advice and warehouse line automation, please.
Okay, everyone, let's start off this scenario looking at a purchase advice from NewRez that has a couple of loans on it. And again, as Dan mentioned, we could have acquired this through different means automatically. We're going to start off with the purchase advice in hand. And now we're going to upload this purchase advice to RM Automate, the hyper automation platform that's sitting underneath this UI that we configured for the demo. And I'm just manually uploading this for the demo, but this would all be automatically done. And so now we're OCR extracting data from the purchase advice. We're gathering that data and it's sitting in a database underneath the platform where it's a normalized format. And once we have that normalized data sitting in the database or an analytical data warehouse, we can send it wherever we like. So we're going to show two examples of sending it to different places. The first and most simple base example is sending this to an Excel spreadsheet where the data that we OCR extracted from the purchase advice is nice and neatly formatted in Excel automatically. And we just separated this into two separate tabs, one for each of the loans on the purchase advice. And once we can do something as simple as sending this to a spreadsheet, we can send this to any system of record that we like. In this particular example, we're going to show you a QuickBooks example where we're going to use RPA, or Robotic Process Automation, where the robot is going to enter all of the OCR extracted information into QuickBooks. So I just activated the robot. I'm moving my mouse to the side. My hands are not touching the computer, and I'm just going to let you know what the robot is doing. So it's signing in right now with user ID and password. And we just slowed the robot down so that we can keep up with what it's doing, but it can move much faster. We can have multiple robots in parallel doing multiple jobs across an entire tech stack 24/7, never taking a day off. So now that the robot is dating and numbering the journal entry and field by field entering data from the purchase advice that we just OCR extracted into QuickBooks. And we can configure robots to adapt to nuances. Here, QuickBooks auto-filled some data based off of the last row. And so the robot understood that it needed to correct that data in cases where you have, let's say in Encompass, only one manual user can be in at a time working on a loan, then the robot can be configured to watch, wait, and listen for when that loan is freed up for the robot to go and enter in the appropriate data. So if you expand that thinking to your entire tech stack, you could basically have the right data, which is higher data integrity because the robot doesn't fat finger, it doesn't make mistakes, flowing to the right system at the right time, watching, waiting, listening for the appropriate trigger events, and doing this 24/7. So the amount of efficiency that is brought to your operations by being able to also easily control, manage, and scale up and down the amount of robots that you need based off of the volume of work required just brings a tremendous amount of value to the table. So Nathan, if you have anything you'd like to add at this stage while it's continuing to figure out, and then we'll move on to the next scenario.
Yeah, I think just making a comment here. I recognize, we recognize that very few, if any of you on this call today are using QuickBooks. We're using QuickBooks in this case just because we have a demo instance of QuickBooks available to us that we can use to create these demo journal entries. The reality is the majority of you would be pushing this data into Encompass and then either A&B or Loan Vision, and the same thing would be true. It obviously wouldn't look the same. It would be entered into those other systems. But if a person can enter into those systems, through keystrokes or mouse clicks, use their credentials to get in, a robot can be programmed to do the exact same thing and log into those systems, whatever they may be, and enter that data where it needs to be entered. And so I just wanted to mention here that QuickBooks is just used here as an example for this demo to just show what's possible. But we are working with clients in Encompass, A&B, Loan Vision, and the other common systems that our clients are using.
Thanks, Nathan. So just a couple of quick notes before we move on to the next demo. So some of the things that you saw in terms of technical modalities. So we did OCR data extraction on that purchase advice. And underneath that, we automatically run, our platform automatically runs a lot of fraud detection and risk mitigation tools. So we want to make sure that any document that we bring into the system is, has 100% integrity. So we look for things like cut and paste. We look for font differentials. We look for malicious code. We look for a number of things, photoshopped documents or images. So we could detect all that before it goes into a system, so we can catch, any type of suspect documents. Another thing that we do with all of the documents on an individual basis is we apply data quality confidence scores. And we work with our clients to determine what that confidence score needs to be. And we'll show you a little bit more about that in the next demo. But obviously, we want to make sure that any data that is extracted from a document is 100% at the end of the day. We can't afford to have any data integrity issues. So I know that's always a big concern when we're talking about OCR and data extraction. This next demo, we're going to show you a sliver of our.
I would say actually, Dan, that it is probably the single most consistent concern on the part of virtually anybody is going to be the accuracy of that data extracted from PDFs, other documents, and images. And so I think what they'll show you here in this next demo, how they go about using human in the loop and other technologies to really increase the accuracy of that data extraction. That's really, really key, especially in the mortgage industry, where we know that there is not very much tolerance for errors. And so that it'll be interesting for all of you to see what they'll show you here in this next demo.
Yeah, and Dan, before you do that, one important element of the purchase advice automation is the ability for the robots to capture and make sure that the purchase prices you're getting paid, the investor payments equal what you're expecting, right? And if by chance there is some discrepancy, the robots can actually reach back out to the investor, send an automated email, and capture what's going on and assist you in reconciling it without it having to be done manually.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Seth. So this next demo is going to touch on a couple of things that we do in our underwriting automation suite. And while Peter's getting that set up, you know, I know Nathan, you guys at Richie May monitor, you know, the costs and do a lot of benchmarking studies around cost and cost to originate. And probably you've got that broken down into a number of different areas. But if you wouldn't mind just kind of setting this up in terms of what your benchmarking studies show in terms of you know, cost for an underwritten loan.
Yeah, you bet. Of all the areas, I think that that are good candidates for automation, and in the prior slide there was a list of a number of them that clients are interested in or working on. Of all of them, I'd say, you know, processing and underwriting, really that front end is where a lot of companies see the greatest benefit from an ROI standpoint. And if you look at our benchmarking data, now going back a number of years, the processor and underwriter costs as of, you know, on a per loan basis have run north of $750 for several years now, including last year when there obviously were some efficiencies gained, you know, as volume swelled so significantly. Some efficiencies gained from a cost standpoint, I mean, and so with numbers that high, and just the amount of work that you all know goes into processing and underwriting a loan, and how much manual effort is expended in that process, there's significant opportunity for improvements here to cycle times, to cost, and profitability here in the loan manufacturing process, right here in that processing and underwriting.
Thanks, Nathan. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to jump to our underwriting automation demonstration. And while Peter's pulling that up, we're going to set this up as a purchase transaction. You're going to recognize all the documents. We're going to basically source those documents from an e-folder in your LOS. And we're going to, one by one, do the data extraction, and you're going to see the number of data elements. I don't want to steal Peter's thunder, but once all the data has been sourced and extracted, then we're going to perform some complex calculations, and we're going to triangulate and fuzzy match between documents to make sure we have consistencies. And the cool thing is, as I said earlier, is we can make these or apply these rules or your specific underwriting rules to the analysis, and they can be dynamic to loan program, investor, etc. So Peter, pull that up, and then we'll visit in just a few minutes.
Okay, we're going to start with a series of borrower documents akin to an e-folder in an LOS. And we're going to show for this scenario an example where a borrower is looking to get approved in a jumbo scenario for a $1.2 million loan. And we're going to verify income and assets. So what we're going to do is upload that e-folder to RM Automate. And we're going to start an OCR extraction process, not for one document, but for the entire set of documents in the e-folder. So what you're seeing right now is a real-time preview of each of the documents as they're being OCR extracted and categorized, so we can actually see the categorization happening. We can see the number of fields that are being extracted. And again, all of this is going to a central repository or database or analytical data warehouse that's sitting underneath the platform. All of this is normalized for consistent formatting. And once this process is complete, it's going to run a series of underwriting and income calculations. Once we have all of that in place, we can send that wherever we like. We're going to show for this particular demo scenario, appending this to an income calculation worksheet that we're going to download in just a moment, and we're going to look at the results of this process that just ran. So let's download that income calculation worksheet and open it up. And let's make this more visible for everybody. So off the bat, we calculated some salary information for the borrower here. To make a little sense of this, let's take a look at the borrower's pay stub. The borrower is paid in a semi-monthly pay period with a gross pay of 8.3K. So if we multiply 8.3K by 2, we have 16.6K. Multiply by 12 for an annual salary value there. So this is just one example of an automated calculation. And as this starts to scale, this starts to really save a lot of time, as well as ensure consistent calculation across the board. We also, as Dan mentioned, have the ability to triangulate or fuzzy match data across a set of documents. So over here we have our 2019 W-2 income of 199.5K, and we can just see on the 2019 W-2 that we grabbed that value from the document. And we can also check for consistency with the 2019 tax return. Here we have a case where it is consistent, but if we have any discrepancies, then the platform automatically will pinpoint that and notify your team to reduce the time that it takes to bridge that gap. Dan, if you have anything else that you'd like to add here, please speak up.
Sure. So thanks, Peter. So a couple things to make note, and we'll show you this. So this particular transaction is using both W-2 wages and a self-employment income, so tax returns and a P&L to qualify. So I want to really kind of focus in on something that's somewhat timely, and that is, all the new kind of restrictions and guidelines and documentation requirements for COVID related self-employed borrowers. So Peter, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, please, we can see that we did capture income from the tax returns. We also grabbed a current period P&L. And probably the most important thing that we want to show here is that we actually analyzed bank statements, and we extracted all the data from 2 months bank statements to do a couple of things from an underwriting perspective. One is we know we have to call out those large deposits. So you can see here that we grab data and information from Capital One. We have the date of the deposit, we have who the deposit came from, and we can see that these are large deposits that are not payroll related deposits. So we can check a couple of boxes here from an underwriting perspective. One is that we can, again, triangulate between tax returns, profit and loss, transcripts, and the requirement to make sure that we've captured large deposits and we're not doing things between bank statements. There's no funny business. Two is that this particular borrower has consistent and properly trending cash flows to qualify for this jumbo loan. And three, we can see that we have reserves, we have cash to close, so on and so forth. So very important. We can do this with one bank statement, 12 bank statements, or 24 bank statements, depending on what your needs are. And we can also, again, make this dynamic to certain loan programs and investors or overlays. So again, we just used a very crude worksheet. We applied a number of kind of, agency type calculations. But again, this can be dynamic, so we can look at, what type of loan program was selected. We can also integrate AUS findings and make sure that we're not doing something that is inconsistent with what your AUS finding might be. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions in terms of how we do things in calculations and making sure that this data is accurate. So again, data quality confidence score per document, making sure that that we've got a very, very high accuracy and data integrity quotient per document. So this kind of segues into the last demo, and that's when we introduce what we call human in the loop. And we know that not every pay stub is going to be an ADP formatted pay stub. We're going to get handwritten pay stubs, handwritten W-2s. documents that may come over that are not legible. So they will, basically fail or be below, to be delivered below the confidence, data quality confidence score. So we want to show you what we do with that and how we mitigate that risk. Peter.
Thanks, Dan. And this is an extenuating circumstance. The ability to OCR extract data automatically without human in the loop is quite strong. So this is basically bridging the gap whenever we fall below the data quality confidence threshold. So I'm going to upload a driver's license for OCR extraction in this scenario. And we're going to see what happens when we fall below the data quality confidence score threshold. So this is something that our team sees as part of our data quality service, where our team member basically reviews the OCR extracted data that we can see in the fields on the right as compared to the image of the document on the left. And we can see over here that on this license, there's a last name Hall and a 1 just before it, but OCR incorrectly read that as a T. So our team makes any corrections necessary and submits this for the automated process to resume. Now, this particular automated process is now going to have a robot pull up the associated DMV for this driver's license in just a moment. It's going to enter in the driver's license number, and it's going to use artificial intelligence neural nets to actually bypass the CAPTCHA, outsmart their robot blocker, in order to confirm that this is in fact a valid driver's license. So the marriage of robotic process automation and artificial intelligence we call cognitive RPA. And the culmination of this scenario, we can see OCR extracted data with human in the loop verified data and cognitive RPA additional data. So basically by using RM Automate, you can weave together different types of automation modalities and techniques to expand the amount of automation and the value that you can get from automation in your systems than otherwise possible with spot solutions. So with that, I will pause if Dan has any more comments on this scenario, and we'll continue with the deck.
No, that's great. Thanks, Peter.
Dan, before you add your additional color, one question that has come up frequently with folks that I've spoken to about this is the human in the loop. When do they work? Are they 9 to 5? Is it Monday through Friday? And again, because these robots are running 24 hours a day, we ensure that we have a human in the loop capabilities for those same 24 hours a day. So that's something that I just wanted to throw out there because it has been a question.
Yeah, that's a great point, Seth. Because Zarrall is a global company, we do have 24/7 global support. So it really depends on the solution and what's required by the human in the loop. So some applications and solutions may not require weekend or overnight, especially if they're accounting or back office. But again, that's set up with each solution and with each client. So I'd like to turn it back over to Nathan and Seth in terms of kind of key benefits of automation and just really drive that home. Nathan, you may be
on mute. Nathan, you're on mute. Nathan.
Sorry, everybody. We'll be brief here on these last few slides because I know we've got some questions coming in here, and we want to make sure that we have some time to respond to some of those here. We might not get to all of them, but yeah, I think we've summarized most of the points here on this list already. But there are significant benefits in a number of areas, and obviously there's a significant reduction to the manual repetitive processes, which reduces costs and improves efficiency and cycle times and improves profitability. Those improved cycle times help companies attract talent, and whether that's loan officers or whatever the case may be. It allows companies to scale up and down with volume demands without having to hire up for it and then turn around and lay those people off in a year or year and a half when refi volume tapers off. And it really is going to prepare companies to compete in that future environment that everybody anticipates at this point, with some large companies that are making significant investments in the technology, and Seth touched on this, that allows them to operate at margins that if companies aren't investing in technology and automating and integrating systems, are going to have a hard time competing at. And so this future world that when refis start to taper off and margins get compressed is going to put pressure on profitability, and companies are looking ahead to that. And this is the kind of technology that helps companies prepare for that eventual reality. So Dan, I think you had a couple comments here I think you can be brief here on these couple slides, and then we can get into some questions.
Yeah. So what does it really take to be successful? And again, I think, Nathan, as you indicated in your opening remarks, the differentiation between RM Automate and some of the other solutions out there is that we offer a holistic platform, and our platform integrates and plays really well with your existing tech stack. So whether it be a CRM, a point of sale, LOS, back office, etc., we ride along that tech stack. So again, no need for rip and replace, and you can start very small and do your automation incrementally. The other thing is our solution is, as again Nathan explained earlier, is white box or completely transparent. So we utilize something that is relatively new here domestically, but we use what is called low code, no code architecture. So everything that we do arguably can be turned over to you to self-manage and self-monitor and self, kind of upgrade or update. And it does not require a team of engineers or software developers. So that's really important to think about. Think about a sysadmin or a business analyst that can perform most of the maintenance and changes and updates on the system. And that's facilitated through what we call our Workflow Automation Studio, which is really if you think about it, it's a workspace that has drag and drop pre-configured, pre-engineered modules where you can create workflow on the spot. And we would love to circle back with you on another time individually and show you how that works, and give you a peek behind the curtain, because it's pretty exciting and there's a lot of wow factor there. So again, what we do with our clients and with Richie May is we really kind of look at where the low-hanging fruit is in terms of your opportunities to automate, and we look for those highest ROI areas and try and get you solutions in relatively quick order so that you can really kind of see where automation can be successful. So talked a little bit about kind of the holistic automation platform. Just again, I'm not going to go down these bullet points, a lot of acronyms here, but suffice to say that our platform, whatever solution that you choose with RM Automate, the platform provides a analytical data warehouse, the OCR and data extraction engine. We have rules engines. We have dynamic decisioning engines. So there's a lot of capabilities all on one platform. And I think that's, again, a big differentiator. Next. Okay, so again, we talked about automating, kind of low-hanging fruit first, leveraging, existing mortgage solutions library. We have a number of documents in our library that we've already OCR data extracted and mapped to a number of different LOS systems. So we have familiarity with the naming conventions and kind of the secret decoder ring that is required to make sure that data and documents flow seamlessly into your many disparate systems. You can add incremental high ROI process automation without disruption. And like I said earlier, we integrate easily with legacy systems. And again, you can incorporate new data and processes quickly into your organization. All right, so Nathan and Seth, kind of turn it back over to you guys.
All right, so that really concludes the slide deck there, and I think this final statement here on this slide, I think goes without saying. I'm sure that all of you are well aware of this and, are preparing for that future reality and, that's going to be very tech driven and that's going to require automation and significant technology investments and focus for your organizations going in the future. So we appreciate all of you, joining today and appreciate the opportunity to present this to you. And so now I think we have a couple questions. I think we've got time for at least a couple questions here that we can respond to before wrapping up. But anything any of you others wanted to add, Seth, Dan, Peter, here before we start taking some of these questions?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing, that we keep using the word exciting, and I think it's because, as you know, we work with over 200 clients, and we've seen a lot of the solutions out there. We know some of the benefits and obviously some of the concerns, and I think our partnership with Zarrall really brings together a unique expertise of mortgage industry and technology, and the ability to help you from day one just grow through your technology needs and automate things as they come up, and really help currently with capacity challenges, staff burnout, and get you up and running the right way.
Okay, let's, I think we have a couple of questions that came in. So should we just jump into some of those? We still have a few minutes.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we've got a little bit of time, so we can jump right in.
Great. So someone is asking, do you have non-income based extraction logic built into standard Fannie Mae approval guidelines outside of income calculations? That is a mouthful. So the short answer is yes. So we have a rules-based engine that can extract data from just about any document. So again, we just have to understand what data needs to be extracted and where that data needs to go. So whether it needs to go into a spreadsheet or back into an LOS or point of sale. So the short answer is yes. Again, there's a roadmap with a tremendous amount of documents in the mortgage industry that were in process, and really it's a prioritization. Where do those documents reside in kind of the level of magnitude and ROI? So it's kind of a combination of both. Some folks have asked us, can we analyze an appraisal, a title report, things that are very labor intensive, especially on the back end when you think about post-closing audits. So again, we are working on a number of these documents. It's in the roadmap. We just really have to determine where those ROI metrics will fall and whether it's worthy of kind of a big investment in putting something, ahead of something.
I would just add to that. Yeah, in addition to income, obviously assets, we showed some of that in the demo there. But credit, appraisal, verifications of employment, and so on. And so, all of those documents that get ingested and are used to qualify a borrower and underwrite the loan can be ingested automatically, OCR extracted, and the data can be entered into Encompass or whatever LOS system or any other system that it may need to go in. So yeah, the answer to that question is absolutely yes.
Okay, our next question, where do the business rules reside that allow lenders to customize rules specific to their underwriting overlays? So again, as I indicated earlier, the platform does come with rules engines. And so basically we would take your rules overlays and we would apply those dynamically to the calculations that are necessary for that particular loan program or transaction.
And then I think the question probably also goes to, and do those rules reside somewhere where again, going back to that white box concept, right, where the company and company personnel have access to those rules and can modify and adjust them as appropriate and as needed, given changing Fannie Freddie guidelines or investor overlays.
Yep, absolutely. So again, we put the control back into the client's hands. We're always there to support them in terms of looking over their shoulder or making sure that that what they're changing is not going to break something else. But yes, good point, Nathan. Okay, so we have another question coming in, and that is, let me just get this one here, read it real quick. Okay, do you currently have the ability to use your optical readers to read data from a PDF and write that data into an LOS? Absolutely, that is the kind of the baseline for OCR review and data extraction. So as long as we can, grab that data from that PDF, then we can normalize that data. We can make sure that that data is correct, and then we can parse it into just about any system you want. And we do that either through API, which is obviously the best way to do this. But if an API is not available, then we can use the robotic process automation.
So Dan, one of the questions that came in is what LOS, what systems can we integrate to? Which LOS systems?
Yeah, so we're really not limited by any LOSs, and I think as just mentioned, so we access all of the disparate systems out there via API if it's available, and if it's not available, then we would set up a robotic process automation. And again, think in terms of what robotic process automation is. It's a very simple concept. All we're doing is mimicking what a human does on the keyboard and with the mouse. So as far as setting that up, we're just mimicking whatever someone does, whether it's a processor or a funder or an underwriter. We would basically record every keystroke, every move of the mouse, every click, and we would replicate that with the robotic process automation.
Yeah. And what about the other, there's another question on there in addition to that question about PDFs, but what other file formats can be read using the OCR engine?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Nathan, please?
Yeah, what other file formats can be scanned and read, using the OCR engine?
Yeah, so we capture HTML, we capture data from a PDF, and we can also look at photos. Mm-hmm. So if the point of sale says, hey, upload a copy of your driver's license, and by mistake they upload a copy of their firstborn, the system is trained to know that the firstborn does not equal the driver's license, and we can fire off an alert or an error message and just use that artificial intelligence to do that.
Yeah, and then of course documents and Excel spreadsheet or other forms of spreadsheets would be ingestible and not even require OCR, because that can that data can actually go into whatever formats needed.
Yeah. And another great example of that, Nathan, would be if you're selling loans to Fannie, for example, you get a spreadsheet instead of a purchase advice, and so we can extract data without using OCR directly from that spreadsheet. Again, perform calculations and analysis on that, and then parse it wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. Before we wrap this up, I think one question that came in is, do we have to buy everything, or can it just be one solution like the purchase advice solution? And that's our goal, right? Our goal is to start with you in one piece of the puzzle that will produce the highest ROI and lift some of your staff to do some of the other more important, make them feel empowered. So it's not as if you need to come in here and do everything at once or engage us for everything. We want to start, and I know we've said this a lot, not a spot solution, but a micro solution that you can then build from. You don't have to, you can do one thing if you want to, but really these are micro solutions that can then be expanded.
Yeah, great point, Seth. So just real quickly, one more, and then I think we're at the time.
I think there's a couple of them that are kind of interrelated here. The question about, where is this a cloud-based, browser-based solution application, or is this installed on a local server? And then that also kind of ties into that question related to security. And this is a cloud-hosted solution. That is hosted in an AWS environment, AWS server that the company itself, the client itself, owns and maintains. So the domestic-based AWS environment. So the data is not leaving and going to a Zarrall server, whether here in the United States or elsewhere. This is all done on a server that is owned and maintained by each individual company. Anything you would add to that, Peter or Dan?
No, that's
your hosting standpoint.
That's great, Nathan. And if given the opportunity, we can set up separate discussions with clients and go into greater depth and really go behind the curtain in terms of displaying the transparency of the system and talking more about security and fraud and risk mitigation and a lot of the solutions that are embedded in the platform.
Yeah, we're at time here, actually a minute past it looks like, and there are a number of other questions coming in. There's definitely interest in this area and a lot of very, very good questions. So those that we haven't gotten a chance to respond to here, we'll follow up individually and make sure that you get responses to those questions. And then again, we just appreciate your time and appreciate the opportunity here, and feel like this is something very, very important and can be very significant to our clients. So we're excited to have the opportunity to partner with Zarrall. And thank you all for taking the time today, for the great questions, for your participation today. And those of you that do have additional questions, do have interest, you want to see a more in-depth demo or have a discovery call, reach out to me or Seth, and we can definitely coordinate and make sure that we take the next steps here for you to assist you in your evaluation of this technology and whether it fits within your company or not. So thank you all again, and have a great rest of your day and a great weekend here upcoming.